baby sicknesses that it's not called baby sicknesses in English, is it? Because that's a literal Norwegian translation. Help me out.
Growing pains is maybe something you would do.
Thank you. Yeah. Growing pains, baby sickness. Any Norwegian listening to this will know exactly what I mean. Barnesykdommer. But it's not called that in English. It's growing pains.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I like it. Learn. So
baby sicknesses. So, sorry.
So you go ahead. You're so excited. I gotta let you go.
But this is me all the time.
That's true. Welcome, everyone, to the Power Platform Boost podcast, your weekly source of news and updates from the world of the Power Platform and the Microsoft community with your host, Nick Dolman and Ulrikke.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hello, Ulrikke. How are you doing?
You're supposed to say how you're doing first, and then you can ask how I am doing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yes, I'm doing fine. Thank you. A little bit tired, but from traveling, but all good. Back here in Canada. And how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I just came back from walking the kids. I don't have a dog, so I'm walking my kids, not on the leash, because they've both been homesick today. So we had a walk in the sun, got some fresh air, and it was really good. And we met a dog, and just it's one of those small little easy things that just makes my day a bazillion times better. So yeah, that felt good. And so back in Canada from where?
Oh, yeah. I was in Vienna last week for Directions EMEA, which is primarily a Business Central conference, but a group of us Power Platform MVPs and people from the community, we kind of invaded with our own little crew, did a lot of interesting, we did sessions of kind of how to, Power Platform, but how it also relates to Business Central. So I did a session on PowerPages, extending Business Central through PowerPages. 3,500 people were there. Wow. It was huge, very huge community in the Business Central world. Lots of opportunities there, especially to extend Business Central using, the Power Platform tools that we know, like like apps, Dataverse, Power Automate, PowerPages, and of course, AI, of course, is all thread through this as well. Copilots and agents and everything like that. So it was really good. Did my regular session on PowerPages as well, but then also helped out a former MVP, now worked for Microsoft, Eliza Benitez. She did a workshop on Copilots. That was pretty interesting as well. And also watched one of her sessions on the Copilot agents and all the new stuff that's there and coming. It was great to see Eliza because she came all the way from New Zealand to Vienna to be part of that, plus a whole bunch of other MVPs and everybody. I think there was about 20 of us Power Platform MVPs. So I am not even going to remember the list of all who was there and run through that, but just everybody who we saw there. Great to see you folks. Great to hang out. And yeah, it was a good week. And this is something that we kind of hope to continue doing, keep bridging the gap between our two communities, between Business Central and Power Platform. Because it truly is one of these things. It's much better together moving forward.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think also we talked about it because, going to the Power Platform community events or the Power Platform events, that's one thing. But actually where we can make the biggest impact is going to and speaking at conferences where it's not really the main thing, but it's related to it, just like you did. I think, yeah, I need to do that more. I went to a pro code conference in Norway talking about low code and Power Platform. It's not preaching to the choir, so it's a bit of a different mindset. And I found it surprisingly hard because we're used to talking to people that know what we're talking about. So switching that to talking to someone that has no idea where you're coming from, you kind of have to start from scratch. And that's really a mind bend when you live and breathe these things. So, and I think that's a healthy thing sometimes to kind of kind of pull our minds out of our own minds sometimes. So yeah, very cool. I love that you did that. And yeah, brilliant. Business Central, up and coming. Keep an eye on that for sure, people.
Well, I think up and coming, I think it's already there in full force. So
I'll be arrested for saying that. Definitely. Yeah. Shame on me because it's probably older than Power Platform. But for us, it's with the virtual tables. Now you can bring Business Central into Dynamics much more easily. And also they are getting their admin side of Business Central is being moved into Power Platform Admin Center. So they're kind of merging the two together, which makes it new for us. So if you haven't really looked at Business Central, then this is something to check out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, for those of you very quick primer of what Business Central is, it's an ERP, enterprise resource planning, or I'm probably oversimplifying it by saying it's an accounting system, but that's what it is. Has a GL. You could do all your invoicing, your profit and loss statements, and all that other traditional kind of accounting stuff, plus a whole bunch more. And then the great thing, it has a very strong ISV community as well. So a lot of good add-on products. Our friends from Resco were there. They're extending Business Central with some of their platform, which is really exciting. But then also from we need to do something very unique. And if that's, of course, where we come in with the Power Platform, let's extend these business applications using our Power Platform technology. So, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And also, speaking of news and new stuff, we have a list of songs we usually do with things to go through. So let's start at the beginning and just walk our way through.
Yeah, and I think last 2 weeks ago, we ran out a bit of time. So some of these are maybe a little bit dated, but a very quick one, custom filtered lookup in PowerPages. And this is from our friend Alexi Lashin, who is in Ottawa. And Alexi, yes, we will get together for some. Alexander. Did I say Alexi? I'm thinking the hockey player.
I know. So you're not thinking about our tester in our
Oh yeah.
It's also Alexi.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, Alexander.
Yes. And I will promise we will get a beer or something together. I know he's living in Ottawa, but I'm never home. So,
we'll make up for it.
Yes, absolutely. But let's talk about.
Do we need to do that with all the people that we mispronounce names with? Because then I need to start saving money for. Gonna have an own account, like a swearing jar, but the misspelling of other people's names jar.
Yeah, that's where maybe we need an AI agent that will just fix.
Yeah. Oh, yes, please. Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Right, back to regular scheduled planning. So he's added some information on how to do a filtered lookup. So if you're configuring PowerPages and you're, of course, using those forms to create those forms and lookups and stuff like that, filtering that lookup has always been a little problematic. You have to do some JavaScript, especially with that pop-up page. So he's actually described how to build a control to be able to, using the Portal Web API, to be able to get filtering on that control. So if that is a problem you're running into, check out his post. I know actually people asked me on LinkedIn, how do you solve this? And I just pasted in the link to this particular blog post and problem solved. So it's really great. Thank you, Alexander, for doing that.
Is that solving the same problem that we're solving when we have a drop down that is a lookup that we use Ajax
yes.
and OData? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much the same thing.
So that's the old way of doing it. He's doing it the modern way.
Yeah. He's improved.
Nice.
He's made it better. Yeah.
Yeah. Smooth. Right. Next one is working with database tables in Power Automate from our good friend of the podcast, David Wyatt. I think there's barely an episode where we haven't talked about Dave's content. Yeah. Tell us what it is.
I thought you put that one there, or is that me? Oh, that's got my name on it.
Has your name to it.
Oh.
Well, that's good then, because Dave's content's always golden. I need to see what this is. Problem is that I keep getting the pop-up that I need to sign in or something. Right. So how to use the Dataverse connector and work with Dataverse tables in Power Automate, how you can list rows, add or create rows, relate rows, and bound and unbound actions with Dataverse tables. So this is very neat, and a lot of small tips and tricks for how to work with this.
Yeah. So this is stuff I don't know if it's necessarily like new information, but it's repackaged in a digestible way. So anybody who's using Power Automated Dataverse, as much as they like to say, oh, it's low code and just pick and choose, once you start getting into that dynamic content, that's where the teardrops start. And you have to start doing those expressions, especially for lookup fields and for choice fields. I ran into that with someone with the community just last week. They're going, I keep getting the GUIDs and the labels of the option sets. But I'm using those fields. What's going on? And I'm like, well, no, you actually have to go up and, put the underscore and do the formatted values, add in and whatever. It's very codey and very technical. So this is a great resource. Just again, have as a bookmark, and just if you need that reminder of how to kind of deal with those fields. So yeah, thanks, David, for all the content that you do. But this one especially, again, it goes to show to everybody. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to blog or do a video on the latest and greatest thing. Sometimes there's so much out there. And if it helped you understand something, that's going to help someone else understanding it. So just repackaging it, putting it out there, even if it's existing content, it's going to be helpful. So that's a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to see when people do that. And especially juniors have a kind of a higher threshold for creating blog posts, I find, but their perspective on things and something that unblocked you is going to unblock someone else. So definitely check that out. Or definitely do more of that. Add your own content with your own spin to it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. The next one we see switching between the advanced setting experience. So this is something a lot of people notice if you're working with model-driven apps or the Power Platform. You used to have to go into some of those older settings. And then a couple of things of this sort of ties into a few other things. There's a new experience where there's a new model-driven app that you go into to do a lot of your Dataverse settings, where before it was that old CRM interface from like the early 2000s, basically, kind of thing. And then Megan is talking about how to be able to, switch that experience around. And also it's good to know because sometimes you got to switch back because there's a few little nooks and crannies that still aren't quite kind of moved over yet. But basically, yeah. So if you have noticed these types of things, again, there's a great tip from Megan amongst, 1,000 other tips that she does on a weekly basis. So, this is just great golden content coming out of our community.
Yep, definitely. Next up on the list is something new. So we have talked a lot about pipelines, Power Platform pipelines, because we've been digging into it really hard the last year or so, or 6 months. So this is a new capability. So we all know that when we try to import solutions, it gives us the option to create personal pipelines now. So it kind of prompts us to do that. And you also mentioned you saw something new that is coming when you actually, if you export and you try to import, you have the ability to choose a solution that has been run through the pipeline already. And you don't have to necessarily...
What happened was and this is maybe other people are experiencing this, when you click on the import, very quickly it flashes pick from a pipeline versus an upload, but then it disappears. So it's almost like, I know they're going to turn it on soon. This might be one of those wait for Ignite type things, but it's great because we know that the solutions all get stored in the pipelines, in that actual application and that host Dataverse. So I think that's partially what I'm seeing, but this probably ties into this as well.
Yeah, and we talked about the thing that you now mentioned on the podcast. I think that was a month ago or the last episode. So it's not like it's a secret. It's just that it's now kind of popping up a little bit. And I've seen the same experience. Now, this is something else, because this is a way to, from what I understand, I think when I read it through it the first time, I didn't completely catch it. So I might be wrong, but to me, it reads that you now in pipelines, there's an advanced settings where you can set the default pipeline. So that means if someone goes in and they want to import the solution, instead of being prompted to create a personal pipeline, they can actually then run the default pipeline instead, meaning you have more control. And if a solution is belonging to a pipeline from the pipeline host, then you can't have it as a personal pipeline, and vice versa. It can only exist in one. So this is a way to, I think, to kind of consolidate and manage a bit these pipeline runs so that you don't have a million different personal pipelines running, that you can actually, more like also kind of in the similar way that you have a default solution now. It helps users that don't really know what they're doing to make the right choice, instead of having to choose between two things that they don't really know what they do, right? So this is a good way to enable new users to make the right decision. And this is something that I absolutely love to see. And I hope that Microsoft also takes the time to do this more with other products and other things. I've been ranting about PowerPages branding forever, about how it's enabling users to choose the wrong thing and to go against established web standards when you allow users to have 10 different fonts on the site. I want to see Microsoft helping us making smarter and better decisions going forward. So kudos to Microsoft. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. And another thing to tie into that a little bit that we don't actually have listed here. And again, because that blog post does say, look for announcements at Ignite, but tying into pipelines and ALM at the EMEA directions last week, Yannick Riekmans actually showed what he's been working on in the private preview with using Git integration in the Power Platform. So not only can we move our solutions using pipelines, but we're able to save our solutions into Git. So keep an eye open for that. I think I'm okay saying it because he presented a session on it. So definitely check that out. That is going to be very cool. That's just going to help tighten up that whole ALM story and make it more accessible to makers to be able to do the right things, like you're saying about getting the best practices, getting the proper source control and the pipelines and the whole bit. That whole ALM story I've said before, compared to where it was 5 years ago and me, using PowerShell scripts to how it is today, it's just amazing how it's been moving along.
Yeah. And then, of course, working with the not so fully baked and pushing these things to the limit, we are experiencing a lot of beta issues and kind of baby sicknesses that it's not called baby sicknesses in English, is it? Because that's a literal Norwegian translation. Help me out.
Growing pains is maybe something we would do.
Thank you. Yeah. Growing pains, baby sickness. Any Norwegian listening to this will know exactly what I mean. Barnesykdommer. But it's not called that in English. It's growing pains.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I like it. Word.
So baby sicknesses. So,
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So you go ahead. You're so excited. I gotta let you go.
But this is me all the time.
That's true.
No, I just wanted to say, we've been working a lot with this lately, and we've kind of had a rough experience. But we also, and we hear from our team that, this isn't, it's not this and that, and they kind of rub up against it a little bit, and there's a little bit of friction, and we forget what it used to be like, right? So yes. I think just remembering that every once in a while that, we used to not have connection references. It used to be not pipelines, so, and also in the same breath. Yes, right.
And I say, but all of this, it's opportunity for learning. Like I would say, yes, we have bumped into a lot of friction the last few weeks, but we've also, I think about all the stuff I've learned as well, not only about how pipelines and ALM, but sort of also how the backend Power Platform is. And those types of things. So you've got to always change your, have that growth mindset going, this is tough. This isn't working as I was expected, but oh, wow, now I know how this works, or this is something I could keep an eye open for. So this is what I find. I love these little challenges in the jobs, the work that I do every day, because if it was just a matter of, just kind of doing the same thing, it'd get boring. And this is what AI can't do either, is sometimes, yes, we can use AI as a tool to help us out, but we still need to be creative and think our ways around these challenges, and use that as a learning experience. And then with that experience, yes, we can enhance AI, but this is my little pro AI, thing this week. So yeah.
Yeah. And we see that every day because we have a lot of support tickets and we work a lot with Microsoft support at the moment. And going through that process now, you get, I think there's 3 different steps going through submitting a support ticket that will try to solve your problem using knowledge search and articles and live chat. And the AI is just trying so hard to help you with existing content. And it's not working. It's
not there.
It can't be solved by that. And also, can I just extend a gratitude towards Microsoft support, because I have learned so much from the response that we get from Microsoft support these last few weeks about how the sauce actually is made, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just love that they actually give us that feedback, that they tell us what's going wrong to the best of their abilities to make us smarter going forward, to help us troubleshoot ourselves. I'm so grateful that we have such an amazing support from that support system.
100%. Now, I've been dealing with support from Microsoft and for over 20 years. And it's, sometimes and I've had a lot of issues with support. And I think we all had been there where we put in the support ticket, we give all the information, we upload all the screenshots, and then we have a support rep that asks for all of that all over again. And then his shift ends. And then we get a new person that starts at square one and asks us for all that. I think Microsoft has finally heard. Now, of course, that the support is also outsourced. You see that with the V- of the emails we get. But some of these organizations have done a really good job. And I agree. The experiences have been a lot better. The questions they're asking, but also they answer the questions we have as well and give us a little bit of what's happening in the background, providing a little bit of root cause analysis, which was always, hey, why didn't this particular thing work? And they said, well, that's root cause analysis. That's a whole other channel you're going to have to go through to get that. Now it's like, well, here's what could have happened. Here are some things that might have happened. Here are some resources for you to check out with. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it is a lot more, and it gives you a little bit more. And again, you could use your own creative thinking and deduction to kind of help figure out these things. So yeah, I'm actually surprised to say, thank you, Microsoft. You have improved the support experience. You're not done. There's things that you can get better, but already I think the things are on the right track.
But in fullness of time, I'm sure it will be.
Absolutely.
And also it helps with resources like our good friend Benedict Bergman is now putting out. And we've known about this book for a while and we couldn't talk about it. But finally, we can shout from the rooftops that Benedict Bergman wrote the book on PowerPlatform, ALM, and governance and pipelines and all that jazz. And I have not had the time to read through it yet, but it's I've ordered it and I'm going to read it from start to finish.
Yeah, I think my copy is supposedly coming tomorrow or the day after. It says it's available, and so let's hope so, because I'm looking forward to it. And the thing was too, I guess it was a week ago, and I saw Benedict last week, and he didn't even mention it. I guess it's kind of hard to. He's a fairly humble guy as well. Although that being said, he was pretty proud of the fact that he did win the Lego racing car by doing the racing car thing at one of the ISV's direction. I was there with him. He says, "Oh, you got to come. There's this little remote controlled race car, and the best time wins this big Lego kit. I really want to win. You can do it once a day." So I went with him, and he went and he zipped around, and he did it under 8 seconds, which is impressive because it took me like half a minute just to kind of navigate this car around the track and everything. So congrats, Benedict, on your book, and also congrats on the Lego car.
Oh, that's so funny. I wonder if that's the same thing that Thomas Prosek did on a Nordic Summit, where he was so proud because he had the best time. But that's another story. That's a little pin for a Nordic Summit podcast that we just released today.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So much content. Okay. Let's move on. Just a quick mention of 2 newsletters that you need to know about. So first of all, Copilot Studio newsletter. This, I think last week was number 21. So it's already a couple of edits in. The 21 first edition is already out by Bülent on Altinsoy. I butchered it. Sorry, Bülent. But this is a kind of a summary of the last week's news and updates for Copilot Studio specifically. And then also I saw a post from Dona, Sarkar and Jeremiah Marble last week that they're going to publish a new newsletter for people who need to adopt or want to learn more about how you can adopt AI into your career. It's like Donna said this a lot of times, a lot lately, that you need to kind of adopt AI into your career planning. And how do you know which jobs are going to be taken over by AI, and how do you kind of pivot your own career into in a certain way so that you're making sure that you leverage AI in the right way going forward. So it's definitely a newsletter I'm going to subscribe to once it's published. I don't think they have the first edition out. So
I got my third edition this morning.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I missed it. I missed the first 2 months. Okay. So yeah, definitely we're going to have the links to that in the show notes, and you can go in and you can read all about it.
Yeah. So yeah, she gave the AI tip of the week about like, I love this. It was, she, talk about attending a lot of conferences, and I saw Dona last week, and I've attended a couple of conferences this year, to say the least. But she talked about using a tool like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. You know how people like take pictures of the screens, but she said, use those tools to take a picture and then use a prompt, extract text from the images. So you actually have a description of the slide you're taking care of. So that and a whole bunch of other tips and tricks and stuff like that in these newsletters. So yeah, definitely subscribe today and get caught up. So.
Yep. Yeah, I will definitely do that. So next up, we have a few other kind of newsletters, if you want, both for PowerApps, PowerAutomate, and Power BI. And also, of course, Copilot Studio. Microsoft publishes a blog post type article every month about the news and updates that were in the product that month. And so for PowerApps, you also have a summary video, and I love these. So April Dunnam, she has a PowerApps Pulse video at the start of all of these, where she goes through all the new enhancements and capabilities that they're highlighting that month in a very short video. It's very good. So good work, April. And then you can kind of read through all the news and things that you need to know about. So for PowerApps this month, it was that the data workspace is now generally available for 9 languages worldwide. That is the new AI-driven diagram, the ERD diagram type experience for creating new tables and columns and lists and everything in PowerApps. And also you have the comment generated formulas in the formula bar in PowerApps, where you have the double dash and you write your description, and then it kind of turns that into a formula. I love that. That's also now GA, and also a couple of application like cycle management, ALM capabilities for virtual tables, where you can now finally put virtual tables in solutions and move them through downstream environments using environment variables, for instance. That experience has also been enhanced. And also Copilot Studio solution awareness. And you can now also have a default solution for Copilot Studio specifically. So a few updates to keep track of for PowerApps and that was the October release. So yeah. And I'm sure I'm not sure, because we had the Copilot Studio for November already, so I'm not sure that they're in sync. But yeah, a few news and updates for Copilot Studio as well in November. For instance, the capability for it to reason over rich content in your sources. So if you have a Word document or a PDF with big illustrations or graphs or images, it's now capable of understanding that in its context and grabbing knowledge from it, or understand what that means in a much more broader sense than it was before. So yeah, that's now you're all caught up on the most important things for PowerApps and Copilot Studio.
And then with Ignite next week, there's going to be a whole whack more things coming up around that. A lot of announcements and everything like that. The other thing that I just saw that popped up, I think you saw this as well, was the thing called Smart Paste in Forms. Now, when I first saw this, I was a little bit concerned because there is the AI form filler in model driven apps, which it's not been the greatest experience. It's more annoying more than anything else. It's kind of there's your child running crazy with crayons on your newly painted wall, basically. But this, on the other hand, this actually looks smart. So if you have to fill in a form and you're copying and pasting from an Outlook or another kind of document, yes, for those of you who don't know, the biggest tip that gets the best response is don't use Control V, use Windows key V. Then at least you see your clipboard and you can actually go through and paste the last 10 things you've copied. But this goes again above and beyond that. You can actually copy your document, your email, and then use that to paste in the form, and it will try to extract the information and put it in the right space in the form. There's also, now you can kind of click on the form field and actually do the little paste command there as well. Just a quick little thing. A few other things. I only saw this morning, so I haven't had a chance to turn it on and look at it yet, but it is something that I'll probably definitely try it out. And maybe even kind of show that in the model-driven lab that I'll be running next week at Ignite. So if you happen to be there, hopefully we can show that off a little bit as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those you think it's pretty small, but then you think about it, how much you copy paste. And then instead of copy and pasting for each input field, you can copy and paste for one, and it actually understands how it's supposed to fill. And it only works for quick view panels at the moment, so be aware of that little limitation. You can only use it there. And it's already available in 21 languages, including Norwegian.
Well, there you go.
Cool. So I was like, what?
So if you paste in child sickness, does it convert it to growing pains? Or
I don't know, maybe. I hope it's smart enough to do that. But also I don't want it to translate anything if I don't tell it to. So but also I'm thinking, shouldn't copy pasting be copy pasting? So the language it's about understanding what data goes where, probably. That's kind of why it needs to be language enabled. So yeah, but this is really cool. So we'll definitely check that out. And
cool.
And last but not least, just wanted to make sure that Per Skute, you know that now there's an XRM Toolbox tool where we can run your user and it will tell us all the places in the whole wide tenant where your user is used. Yes, because that means that crazy developer that went in and created everything, we can now actually see all the resources that it's tied to that user. So yeah, and if you don't already know, if you create certain resources in PowerPlatform and other places, and that user account is disabled, chances are stuff's going to stop working. So keep an eye on that. So this new tool is going to save a lot of beeps in the future. And we're going to put links to that in the show notes.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think we kind of...
Sorry?
Yeah, I think we got through the news.
Yeah, definitely. You want to talk about Ignite? Talk about your cool sessions?
Oh, yeah. So next week, Microsoft Ignite, and it's sort of like, home from one event right into another one. Thankfully, the flight isn't as far. It's only like 2 hours. I think it's a 2-hour flight. I even considered driving at some point, but that's a little too far to get there from here. But there's a lot of stuff happening. So we're doing a model-driven app workshop. So if you're into the Power Platform, or even our BC friends, if you want to learn more about model-driven apps, here's where you can kind of go in. We quickly build a model-driven app, and using the new data, the Copilots, the model-driven app, the data designer, going through what you could do there. Again, we're also talking about the classic features like business process flows, which again is sort of one of those features that really are very powerful, but aren't necessarily used all the time. And a few other things, trying to pack it all in 75 minutes. So this is what I'm stressing about a little bit. 75 minutes is not a lot of time to really show you what you can do with model-driven apps, but hopefully you get something out of it and a springboard for continued learning. So we're going to do that lab 3 times during the week, and then also be at the experts booth. I think I have 1 or 2 shifts there too. So come say hi if you have questions on anything around PowerPages, PowerPlatform, PowerApps, anything like that. There'll be experts on hand. I'll be there, like I said, a couple shifts. If you're a fan of the podcast, definitely come. I'll try to remember to bring stickers with me, and we can chat. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where am I? There we go. Yes. Yeah.
Mine just says ost now, and ost is cheese in Norwegian. So I get the comment all the time that why do you have ost? Why do you have cheese written on your arm?
We'll need to get that sorted out and fixed up.
Yeah, we will. So is this one of those experts where you get to wear the lab coat?
No, but I should bring my lab coat. Yeah, I'll do that because I do have a lab coat.
Didn't they have that at certain conferences that you have a medics booth or something that you wore those very cool lab coats and you can walk around feeling like a doctor and be all cool?
Yep, that was the UG Summit. They used to do that a couple of years ago. The Dynamics communities, they had the medics booth and they had like the actual lab coats with the logo on it. It was a really cool. It was a great concept, just come and ask anything, and people had their laptops open and we were checking things out and giving advice and fixing issues. And it was really cool. So maybe I'll bring my lab coat. Yeah. Good plan.
Yeah, do that. And then, because I love the concept. If you have a flow that doesn't work or a pipeline that got stuck and you can go there and you can ask for help. It's perfect. Yeah, definitely do that.
So, and then the other thing is, so after Ignite, come back, we have the Dynamics user group, the Canadian regional meetup. This is the first time they're doing this in Canada. They've had other regional meetups in the US. This is the same organization that does Dynamics Con. They actually recruited me to help out with the Power Platform track. So there is a Business Central track, a Power Platform track, and a customer engagement track. So more of that classic Dynamics CRM. Apparently we already have 200 people signed up. So definitely, I think there's room for more. So it's at the Pantages Hotel in downtown Toronto. It's a in-person event, which is pretty exciting. We have a lot of great speakers lined up for that. So I think that those 2 events at least take us to our next episode anyway. And there's a whole we look at the list of events, it just keeps going and going into the new year.
Definitely. And so Ignite is next week, right? 18th to 22nd. And our next episode is November 27th. So probably we'll have a little bit of a section about what was announced during Ignite, because usually they have a lot of news and updates that come out then. So a bit of an Ignite special next time, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Can't wait. Okay. Have an awesome week, and I'll catch you later.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. And if you like this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues in the community. Make sure to leave a rating and review of your favorite streaming service, and makes it easier for others to find us. Follow us on the social media platforms and make sure you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening to the Power Platform Boost podcast with your hosts, Ulrikke and Nick Dolman, and see you next time for your timely boost of Power Platform news.